My sister stole my inheritance, but Grandpa left me a secret letter. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm 35 years old, and for most of my life, I believed my grandfather was the only person in my family who truly saw me. While everyone else compared me to my younger sister Emily, Grandpa never did. He didn't care that Emily was prettier. He didn't care that she was more popular. He didn't care that my parents treated her like she could do no wrong. To him, I was simply Sarah, and that meant everything. Growing up, Emily was the golden child. If she got a B in school, my parents celebrated. If I got an A, they asked why it wasn't an A+. When Emily crashed her car at 17, my parents bought her a new one. When I needed help paying for college, they told me to figure it out myself. Grandpa noticed. He always noticed. Whenever things got difficult, he'd invite me over to his house. We'd sit on the porch drinking lemonade while he shared stories from his life. One day he told me something I never forgot. Character matters more than charm. Sarah, people eventually show you who they really are. At the time, I didn't understand what he meant. Years later, When Grandpa turned 85, his health began declining. I visited every week, sometimes every day. I drove him to doctor's appointments, picked up groceries, helped around the house. Not because I expected anything in return, because I loved him. Emily rarely visited. She was always busy. Too busy for holidays. Too busy for birthdays. Too busy for Grandpa, but somehow never too busy to ask him for money. Every time she showed up, she left with a check. Grandpa never complained. He simply smiled and helped her anyway. Then one rainy Tuesday morning, I got the call I had been dreading. Grandpa had passed away in his sleep. I felt like my heart had been ripped out. The funeral was held 3 days later. People filled the church. Everyone talked about what a wonderful man he had been. Some of them hadn't spoken to him in years. I stood quietly beside his casket and cried. After the funeral, our family gathered at the lawyer's office for the reading of the will. Emily arrived wearing designer clothes and a confident smile. She looked more excited than sad. That should have been my first clue. The lawyer cleared his throat. Then he began reading Grandpa's savings, his investments, his house, his antique collection, everything, every single thing, went to Emily. I sat frozen. There had to be a mistake. I had spent years helping Grandpa, years, and somehow I received nothing. Not even a keepsake. Nothing. Emily tried to hide her smile, failed. My parents immediately congratulated her, as if she'd won some kind of prize. I barely heard the rest. My chest hurt. My hands were shaking. I wasn't angry about the money. I was devastated because it felt like Grandpa had forgotten me. That night, I cried harder than I had in years. For the first time, I questioned everything. Maybe I had misunderstood our relationship. Maybe I hadn't meant as much to him as I thought. 3 days later, I received a phone call from Grandpa's attorney. "Sarah, there's something you need to see." I drove to his office immediately. When I arrived, he handed me a small wooden box. It was old, worn, and locked. "This was found inside your grandfather's desk," he said. "He specifically instructed us to give it only to you." My heart started racing. Inside the box was a key, a folded letter, and a handwritten note. The note read, "Trust nobody until you finish reading." My hands trembled as I opened the letter. It was written in Grandpa's handwriting. The first sentence made my stomach drop. "Sarah, if you're reading this, then Emily has done exactly what I expected." I stared at the page, confused. Then I kept reading. Over the next several pages, Grandpa revealed something unbelievable. Months before his death, he had discovered that Emily had secretly manipulated him. She had convinced him to sign paperwork while heavily medicated after surgery, documents that changed portions of his estate plan. At first, he didn't realize what happened. Later, when he reviewed the records, he discovered everything. Rather than confront her immediately, he began documenting evidence: bank records, emails, signed statements, witness accounts. It was all there. And then came the final surprise. The key inside the box belonged to a private safety deposit box at a local bank. Inside was the original will, the real will, the one Emily thought she had replaced. According to that document, Grandpa intended to divide his estate equally. But there was more, far more. Attached to the original will was a legal amendment. One created after Grandpa discovered Emily's actions. The amendment stated that anyone attempting to manipulate or fraudulently alter his estate would automatically lose their inheritance. Every penny. My attorney looked at me. Sarah, your grandfather prepared for this. I couldn't believe it. Grandpa knew. He knew exactly what Emily was capable of. The following weeks became a nightmare for Emily. The evidence was overwhelming. Emails, signatures, financial records, witness testimony. There was no way to explain it away. When confronted, Emily initially denied everything, then blamed misunderstandings, then blamed stress, then blamed everyone except herself. Eventually, the truth came out. She had assumed Grandpa was too sick to notice, too old to fight back. She was wrong. A court hearing followed. The judge reviewed the evidence. The decision was swift. Emily's inheritance rights were revoked entirely. Every asset returned to the estate. According to Grandpa's amendment, the estate was then transferred to the remaining beneficiary, me. My parents were furious. Not at Emily, at me. They claimed I should forgive her. They said family was more important than money. Interesting, because nobody had mentioned family when Emily was trying to steal everything. For months they pressured me, called me selfish, greedy, unforgiving. I listened quietly. Then I asked one simple question. Would any of you have shared if I never found the letter? Nobody answered, because everyone knew the truth. The answer was no. A few months later, I finally opened the last envelope Grandpa had left behind. It contained only a single page. A personal letter. One final message. Sarah, money isn't why I did this. I wanted you to know that I saw everything. Your kindness, your loyalty, your heart. The world rewards charm for a little while, but character wins in the end. Never forget that. I cried reading those words, not because of the inheritance, not because of the victory, but because Grandpa understood me completely. Today, his house still belongs to me. I restored the porch where we used to sit together. Sometimes I still drink lemonade there on summer evenings, and every time I do, I think about the lesson he left behind. The lesson nobody else in my family understood. You can fool people for a while. You can manipulate, lie, cheat, and steal, but eventually the truth catches up. And when it does, character is the only thing that remains. Emily thought she stole my inheritance. What she actually stole was her own future, and Grandpa made sure everyone knew it.